Frazier here, and that's Mr. Stinnett. Mr. Stinnett.
Thank you, Chair. This item was brought to my office several months ago to take a look at the intersection there at Kavanaugh Lane and Sanibel. There's a new development currently going in on Kavanaugh Lane at the back of the neighborhood, as well as a future development that will connect and truly make it a four-way stop in the next year or so. And traffic engineer has taken a look at that intersection for us. And if Mr. Fraser will come up and kind of give us your recommendations on how we should proceed here in the short term.
Thank you, Council. Per the request, we looked at two different criteria out there. One was to look at the a speed limit reduction for Kavanaugh and Lane within the area that Councilmember Stinnett was talking about, and a proposed multi-lane stop request at Kavanaugh and Sanibel Drive. The results of what we found was that there are 6 criteria for the speed limit reduction based on the Federal Highway Administration standards. And based on those, we found that traffic engineering would not have any type of objection to go ahead and lowering that speed limit down to 25 miles per hour. The other request was look at a multi-lane at that intersection, in which we did, and we found that the volumes at this time were extremely low, with 10% of the volume requirement only on Kavanaugh and 7% of the volume requirement on the other approach of Sanibel. And we checked the collision criteria in the past, which there were 0 collisions reported in the past 3 years. So based on that, we made the recommendation of keeping the intersection controls as they are at this time. And that's our recommendation at this point.
Mr. Stinnett.
So, in essence, no four-way stop recommendation, but there is a recommendation to lower the speed limit down to neighborhood at 25 mile an hour.
And as you've already pointed out, Council Member, you know, as time goes on, once it goes ahead and they do that extension through there, it will probably definitely look at a reanalysis of the situation and the conditions we have out there. So, at any time, once they go ahead and punch on through or go ahead and have additional growth through there, we'll be more than happy as far as a multi-way to go back and reassess that.
So the sight distance at the intersection is okay, and the next criteria would be to look at the volume of traffic, and I see here there's only 7% of the volume required, which is
very low,
very
sir.
far away from
very low, sir.
even getting there on the volume.
Yes, sir.
Is there any other dependable, workable solutions that you can think of?
We can go back and look at the intersection and maybe go provide some additional signage, intersection ahead, cautionary signage on the approaches. We'd be more than happy to do that. That's not any type of problem.
Okay, so again, this is short term. We can come back and take a look at it as the development fills up.
Sure, absolutely.
Okay, so your recommendation is reduce speed limit, no four-way stop right now.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Do you want to, is there somebody who wants to make a motion to that effect? Since Mr. Stinnett is not part of this committee?
I'll make the motion. I move that we reduce the speed limit to 25 miles an hour at this point, and not pursue the sign right now, but just lowering the speed.
We have a motion and
Second.
a second. All those in favor, please vote and say aye. All those opposed, nay. That passes. And while we have Mr. Frazier here, and that was the only item we had in here that was ready for the committee, I wanted to go through the different items in the committee, and there are about 9 that deal with speed limit reductions or with streets that deals with traffic engineering. I just wanted to get an update so we can try to move through and get the committee items pushed through if we could. And the first one we had, I think, is, and I'll go from the most further back and then work towards the most recent. And we had a couple items that Ms. Gorton had asked for the traffic calming on Hazard on Harvard Drive and the no parking signage on Boulevard between Malibu and Crest of the Hill. Do you know where we stand with those?
With all these different requests that you have, and with the volume of work we've done as far as the field collection that's come from council and Lexcall and other locations, what I recommend, if it's acceptable to council, I will go ahead and find out where they are in the process and go ahead and I can send that to Paul or to directly the council members and let them know exactly where it is. This year alone, we've done already 37,000 count hours in the field, which exceed the 27,000 for the full year of last year. So we've had a large volume of requests. But I will be more than happy to take these, find out exactly where they are, and go ahead and provide the appropriate response to all the council.
I would appreciate that, because I know the council members and also the constituents would like to see these move through. Mr. Myers has a question for
Yes,
you,
sir.
Mr. Frazier.
Mr. Frazier, thank you for the work that you're doing, and you were before the committee a while back and talked about the different traffic calming devices.
Yes, sir.
In particular, the striping and some
Yes, sir.
things that didn't cost money to the constituents to do.
Yes, sir.
What is the process for getting a street, is that something that still needs to go through the committee process to get striping done on the street, or is that something we can just request from the department?
You can just request, sir, if you wish.
Okay.
The constituent can contact us directly, or you can contact us. It's however you wish to do it, and very similar like we did over at Carriage Lane. We'll be more than
Right.
happy to meet with them and go ahead and put together something so we can kind of show what it is that could be done.
Okay, I'll speak to you offline about that.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now I'd like to go through the different items that are in committee and just work our way down if we could and just see.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I did want to say that I'm going to put a request in at council comment today on two more issues that you might want to phase in here. One is speeding on Chenaway Road between Gainesway and Lakewood. And the second is a group of neighbors from around Christ the King and Martin Cassidy would like to put four-way stops at three places on Providence, two more on Romney Road and one on Cochran. And that seems to me to be a little extra, more than necessary. But I'd like to get together with traffic engineering and figure out what can be done in that particular neighborhood also.
Sure, that sounds good. Okay, we'll go ahead and put those down as tentatively until we get these put into the service committee officially. Now, the
Mr.
issues.
Chair?
Yes, sir.
Could we start maybe from the back and work up, because, I mean, there's some that have been in there in '05, and I think that probably we could get through those quicker than.
That's fine. And what Mr. Schoniger had said prior to the meeting, that we'll go through these issues, but he would like to meet with the council member who presented that and see what needs to be done. But we can go through these that with the people that are here. I see the first one would be in '05 with Mr. Maloney with the mini motorcycles. He's not here to ask the question. Is Ms. Gorton here for the curb replacement? And Mr. Maloney with the private swimming pool. I'll have Mr. Schoniger speak with them. The next two are traffic issues. Mr. Myers with the U.S. Ombudsman Association standards.
I will check with the ombudsman and see if she still wants to look at that or where she wants to go. I'll get back with you.
The next one, again, is Mr. Maloney, and then Mr. Wigington, and that deals with the cell phone ordinance. We also have another issue in here from Mr. Beard that also deals with inattentive drivers. We might be able to actually combine those two issues, I think. Dr. Blues?
I would move that we take this off the agenda.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, start voting, say aye. All those opposed, nay. That passes. The next issue is Mr. Stinnett, and that deals with noise, and I think we have three different issues that deal with noise in here. We have the noise ordinance special events, we have the school event noise, and also we have the car radio noise. And I'm not sure if that might be something we can look at all those in conjuncture.
I would make a motion that we combine those all in a review of the noise ordinance, which would cover all these issues, I would think, and then instead of looking at them individually.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye and vote now, please. All those say nay. That passes, and we'll do that. The next one deals with the review of the zoning ordinance in issuance of a liquor license. Mr. Wigington, is Ms. James, is that, or Mr. Dr. Blues, I mean, is there something that you have any issue with that one?
I do not.
We could possibly, in the subcommittee that we're dealing with liquor, we could actually put that as an issue part of that, I think. And then you could look at that if you don't mind.
So I'll move then to remove it from our agenda.
Okay, we have a motion to remove. We have a second. All those in favor, start voting, say aye. All those against, say nay. That passes. The next issue is towing on private property. Mr. Maloney's not here. Mr. Wigington with Dr. Blues, the Neighborhood Assistance Office, and tie downs of mobile homes.
It does seem to me that we have at least 12 neighborhood assistance offices.
Okay.
And so I would move to remove that from our agenda.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye and start voting. All those against say nay. That passes. The next issue is the tie-downs of mobile homes.
I don't know anything about this, this particular issue. It may have come up in the wake of the '04 tornado. I'd be happy to look.
Yeah, we can keep that one in, see if there's some issues we can look at there. The next issue, and going up the list, there's quite a few that are the traffic-related issues. Then we have Mr. Stenitz, door-to-door peddlers. I don't see him, or Mr. Maloney. We'll have Mr. Shiger speak with them. We had the news rack ordinance, Mr. DeCamp.
Yes, our committee is still working on that. It's a slow process, but it's still being very active, and at the time we come to some conclusion, will be brought back to this.
Okay. And then once again, the graffiti, we'll talk to Mr. Maloney. The next one is the Par 3, and we have a subcommittee on that. The noise ordinance, the alcohol impact, we have a subcommittee. The smoking ban on hospitals we'll be dealing with in December. The block party, we have a subcommittee. The vicious dogs we'll be dealing with in December. And the transit buses on local residents we'll be dealing with in December. And that looks like that's all the issues. Yes, Mr. McCord.
I think we can move out the issue of the Willow Oak subdivision traffic issues. There were some very specific things that we've got working that I don't think need to necessarily have to be in this committee, so we can take that out.
We have a motion. Second. And a second to take out the Willow Oak subdivision traffic issues. All in those in favor of that, please say yay and start voting. Aye. And those opposed? That passes. Are there any other issues? Mr. DeCamp?
Yeah, could I ask Dr. Stevens, what was the Par 3 golf? Does that have to do with Meadowbrook or not, or that was another issue?
Yes, it has to do with Meadowbrook and the provision of a Par 3 golf course for the city, but I think primarily Meadowbrook.
Okay, I mean, I think we are working on that.
We are working that in the subcommittee with Mr. Beard.
With Mr. Beard, okay.
Mr. Beard.
I have an issue on, let me find it again. The multi-way stop at Malibu Drive in Belafonte exists. It has been installed.
What date was that?
The multi-way stop at Malibu Drive and Belafonte Road has been installed, so we can remove that.
Okay, that's the March 6th one. That's, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye and vote. All those opposed? That passes. Are there any other items in committee? Seeing none, I will take a motion to adjourn. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. We are adjourned.